All right, we got a lot of stuff to get into this week, so let's start right in with ACC predictions, okay? So just like last time, we went through our Big Ten predictions, and it's not how are their schedules going to end up, how are they going to do, are they going to be better than a different team? We're looking at how their standings are going to be at the end of the season. So at the end of the regular season, going into the conference championship weekend, what are they going to be? So let's just get right into it. I mean, I don't know why we would wait. So let's go at number 5. We have UVA, or the University of Virginia. So honestly, Virginia's here for one reason, and that's because of their schedule. In theory, last year, Virginia did end up number 1 in the ACC as far as schedule goes and as far as standings, because they only had one conference loss. Now, they lost the conference game to Duke in that whole weird Virginia-Duke ACC championship thing. Both of those teams didn't even make the playoffs. They ended up being with Miami in the playoffs. So a lot of stuff happened in the ACC last year that was confusing, their tiebreak rule, everything. In theory, Virginia actually lost 2 games in their conference last year, but only one of them counted as a conference game. It's all weird, but that's neither here nor there. Their schedule this season is still super easy. So for that reason alone, we're going to put them at 5. So let's just go right next to 4, which is Louisville. This is where the teams in the ACC start to get competitive. I mean, I'm not trying to diss all the other teams. Virginia Tech could have a chance. There's a lot of teams that could end up being competitive in the ACC, but these are the teams that are college football playoff level. Louisville, I mean, I'll just tell you what I think about them. Last season, Louisville was this close to breaking out in the ACC. Look at right here. It says they had 4 losses last season in the ACC. So in conference play, they had 4 losses. 3 of those losses were lost by a combined 7 total points. 7 total points. So that doesn't mean they lost each game by 7. That means if you add up all the amount that they lost in each of those 4 games, 3 of them they lost by 7 combined. So pretty crazy. Then they went on to play Kentucky in their bowl game, and they won 41-0 against an SEC team, which obviously kind of bottom of the level of the SEC, fired their head coach. A lot of stuff is going on with Kentucky, but still, beating an SEC team 41-0 is still 41-0. So they have their quarterback, Lincoln Kienholz. He's from Ohio State. He's been there for a while, but he transferred to be with Jeff Brom, who traditionally is really good at developing their quarterback. So we'll see how that goes. And then the running back room at Louisville is maybe my top 3 in the nation. They have 2 returning running backs, or actually 3 returning running backs from last season out of their running back room of 4. They have 2 running backs with the last name Brown, so this can get confusing. But Brown, number 1, had over 900 yards. The second running back named Brown had over 700 yards. And then their third running back was a walk-on last year, first year, true freshman. He's the first player or first running back in Louisville history to have over 100 yards in one game as a walk-on. So pretty impressive. Then they also brought in a Missouri running back transfer who was probably stuck and tired of being behind Ahmad Hardy, which is understandable. But yeah, that running back room is great at Louisville. And if they can get their quarterback situation figured out and if they can finish these close games, then I think Louisville could be good. And I think they'll be competitive in the ACC. Now, these teams I have above them, I just have a lot of hope for and I have a lot of confidence in. So I'm not saying Louisville's going to be bad, but I do have them finishing at 4 in the ACC. So let's move on to number 3. Now, if any of these were going to switch and I was wrong about any of them, I think I'd be wrong about 4 and 3 switching. So my number 3 spot is Clemson. Now, obviously Clemson had a very disappointing year last year. And obviously, since the transfer portal really started taking shape, Clemson's kind of been on the downhill. But last season, just talking about how bad they were last season, they had their first non-8-win season since 2010. Now, Dabo, this last offseason, he finally started to tap into the transfer portal. He had been against that. He had been saying he's only going to recruit. He's not going to get transfers because he thinks that's bad, and he thinks he's stealing from other coaches and other programs, and which, when you think about it, is true. And Dabo's trying to be a stand-up guy like he is, but he finally tapped in this year because he realized if he didn't do that, he was probably going to get fired. So they have their quarterback, Christopher Venzina. He's actually entering his 4th year at Clemson. So when you have a returning offensive coordinator and a 4th-year quarterback from your school, you can feel pretty confident that he's going to know at least the schemes. He's going to know the plays. He's going to know the playbook for sure. He'll be able to probably carry himself well in the locker room, be a leader. So you can look good on that for Clemson. And then as long as he stays healthy, their offense should be looking good. I mean, talking about their schedule is really the main problem I see with Clemson this year. I think they have the right people there. I mean, Clemson is one of the top, 5 or 6 programs in the past 20 years. So they're obviously going to be able to get the players there, but their schedule is a little bit brutal. Obviously, they start off week 1 at LSU. Game day is going to be there. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And then if they can end up winning that game against LSU, now, do I have them winning that? No, I think LSU will win that. I think LSU might go undefeated this year. So I'm not high on Clemson being able to win that game. But if they somehow are able to pull that off, do you understand the hype there would be going into their week 5 or 6 matchup against Miami? Miami's coming into South Carolina, coming to Clemson. And this would be probably their biggest home game in the past 2 or 3 seasons. I mean, that would mean they would beat LSU, who everybody has super high. That would mean they would be undefeated. Miami, I would assume, is going to be undefeated. So these would both be ranked teams going into this game. So if they can somehow beat LSU, huge. Obviously, not an easy team to beat. Then they have Miami at home, which would be hard. But if they can win LSU, they're going in with a momentum for Miami. I mean, that could be great. So Clemson, my only thing really holding me back for them is they were kind of on downhill last year, so they're building back up. They're building back momentum, but also just their schedule is not super easy. So for that reason, they're finishing 3rd. Now, my 1 and 2, I could either see this being a 2 and a 1, or I could also see them having the same record, and I could see them being tied for 1st. So we'll get into it. Just let's say they finish 2 and 1, so not tied. My number 2 is it's going to be probably some people are going to be pretty upset about this, maybe a little bit surprised, but my number 2 is Miami. So Miami, obviously, they lost in the national championship last year. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows that they lost to Indiana. Carson Beck interception last second. Miami, I think, is going to be great this year. I think I've on record said that I think they'll be better than they were last season, but I do think they'll finish 2nd or tied for 1st in the ACC. And that's only because of the teams that they play. I think that they're going to be better. I think they're bringing back Malachi Toney, their true freshman last year, breakout receiver. They're bringing back Mark Fletcher, their running back. They're bringing in a better quarterback, in my opinion, with Darian Mensah. They're bringing in Darian Mensah's teammate from Duke, his number 1 receiver at Duke. So that's going to be huge. But they lost a lot of games that they shouldn't have last year, and for that reason, I think they will probably fumble at least 1 game. Now, am I saying they're going to be out of the playoffs? No. Am I saying they couldn't go to the Natty like they did last year? No. They went on a crazy run. What were they, the 9 seed last season? And they still went on that run, 10 seed, I think. And I think that can happen again. I think Miami will be better. So I think they will finish 2nd or maybe tied for 1st with this next team. So going on to my number 1, we're getting through these quick. Number 1, I think will finish in the ACC this year is SMU. Okay, so SMU Mustangs, I love their quarterback. Their quarterback this year is Kevin Jennings. Now, he's back. Last season, he was hurt the entire season. He had an ankle injury, which isn't great because he is a running quarterback. He can scramble like a psychopath. So that's great to see out of your quarterback, especially when you have an offense that can play around that. So, I mean, they improved, if not look still solid at each position on offense, and their easier schedule almost guarantees that they'll make it to the ACC title game. Am I saying they'll be fun? No, but I can almost stamp it, pencil it in. I think SMU will be in the ACC championship this season, and you can flame me in the comments, but I don't care. Argue with the wall. I am super high in SMU. I think Jennings is going to be insane. Maybe in the Heisman running. I don't know, but in their last 2 conference games last season, they combined for 4 points and losing that, so not great. But I think this is going to be great. So let's that's some of my ACC predictions are. We went through those quick. I don't have a lot to say about that. I think it's pretty cut and dry, pretty obvious what's going to be right and what's going to be wrong. You guys can tell me later. In a couple months, I'll probably get flamed for all that. But yeah, that's what I think. So let's move on. This is going to be an exciting segment. I think It's not thrilling for you right now because nothing's thrilling when you're waiting for college football to come back. But this is a fun thing to think about, and it's fun to come back to in a couple months. So our next segment we're going to be looking at is trying to predict the locations for each ESPN College GameDay campus. Where are they going? Obviously, week 1, we talked about it. Clemson going to LSU. It's going to be a big game. Lane Kiffin's first home game. Lane Kiffin's first game as an LSU Tiger. That's going to be crazy. Week 2, if you don't know, is in Austin, Texas. We have Oklahoma State. Wrong OSU. We have Ohio State coming into Austin to play the Longhorns. Then, if you didn't see this Pat McAfee show maybe last week, Nick Saban actually came on Pat McAfee, and he kind of leaked it a little bit. He didn't mean to do this, I don't think, but he kind of came out and said on accident that they will most likely be in Oxford week 3 for LSU at Ole Miss. Now, I never would have predicted this probably because I don't think they would do LSU in a span of 2 weeks, but that's what Nick Saban said. So I trust Nick Saban. So per Nick Saban, that's what they're going week 3. So let's go our predictions for week 4 through 13. So buckle up, get ready. I'm going to go through all the weeks, tell you why I think this, tell you what do you think, tell me no, give you options. Let's see. So week 4, first week that has not been announced yet for College GameDay. My prediction, now, before I tell you my prediction, one option that I think it could be, I don't think this will happen, but Oklahoma at Georgia is week 4. I think it would be crazy for them to do 3 SEC teams in the first 3 weeks and then another SEC game. So for that reason, plus this other game is a great game, I think they will be in LA, California for Oregon at USC. Now, I have Oregon going undefeated this season. I think they're going to be great. Coming off a big offseason, bringing back Dante Moore, huge. USC, Jade Mayava, losing to Blendikoff, but still great on offense, great on defense. It's going to be a huge game. It's at USC, so obviously I don't know how well USC fans can get at game day. Obviously, they don't fill the Coliseum, but that's neither here nor there. I think they will be Oregon at USC in LA week 4. So week 5, if I was going to be wrong about any of them, I think week 5 is when I'd be wrong. There's not a lot of good games. There's not a lot of games that are very College GameDay necessary. These aren't the games that they need to be at. So for week 5, kind of not a great game, but I have it in Clemson, South Carolina, Miami at Clemson. Now, like I said, if Clemson beats LSU, things could go away where this is a huge game, like I said earlier, but I think LSU is going to go undefeated, so I don't think that's going to happen, but it could. You never know. So if that does happen, that would have to happen for it to be a huge game, but you never know. So week 6, I think it could be Georgia at Alabama. In the past couple of years, we've had great games at Georgia at Alabama. Obviously, Ryan Williams, nice little spinny move that made him famous for the next 3 years, got him in at Georgia, Alabama. So pretty good game, possibility for College GameDay, but where I think they will go is an undefeated versus an undefeated team, and they will be in Dallas at the Cotton Bowl for the Red River Shootout. Now, this game has been horrible for the past 2 or 3 years, but I don't think it can happen again. I think Oklahoma is going to come back. I think they're going to – last year they did terrible against Texas, but John Mateer also just recovered from a broken throwing hand surgery. So I'm pretty high on OU Texas being a great game this year. So I think that's where game day will be week 6. They've been there before. They went there when Caleb Williams came back against Texas. So it's not an uncommon place for them to go, and I think it's one of the best rivalries in college football. So I don't know why they wouldn't go there, especially if they're both undefeated going into this game. Week 7, our first Indiana National Championship defending team. In Bloomington, I have Ohio State at Indiana. I think this will be a great game. I believe this is a Big Ten championship matchup from last year, so we have a little rematch going on in Week 7. There's not even a game that I think would compete with this. I think this is the clear choice for Week 7, so it'll be a good game, especially with Josh Hoover, getting to see him play against one of the better teams he'll play this season with a great defense, so we'll see. But Ohio State at IU Week 7 in Bloomington. So Week 8, I would almost Week 8, Michigan plays versus Indiana again. It is at Michigan. I think it's going to be a great game. I actually have Michigan winning this game. I picked them a couple weeks ago to beat Indiana in Week 8, but I don't think they will do back-to-back Indiana games. So I kind of think this will be their one-off weird game day location where we have to throw a bone to the Big 12. So I think they'll do Houston at Utah. Isn't great. It'll be in Salt Lake City, home game for Utah. I can't see this being a great game. If both teams are undefeated, it's going to be hard for them not to go to a pretty important Big 12 matchup like this, especially they can't go back to Indiana 2 weeks in a row. I think they might if it's abysmal games all around the board, but I think they will throw a bone to the Big 12 in Week 8. Week 9. Week 9 is pretty good. We have Ohio State going to USC. That could be a good game. I don't know if USC will be super in the playoff race at this point, but that could potentially be good. I think the game day location will be in Atlanta, Georgia. Now, I know you're thinking Georgia Tech home game. No. They will be at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. I think game day will be going to Florida, Georgia. I think Florida is going to be good this year. We have a new head coach coming in, John Summerall, coming in from Tulane. I mean, if he can get it done and they're looking good towards a Week 9, it would be hard for them not to go here. First-year head coach, Georgia, if they can. I mean, Georgia could be going into this game with a couple losses. Lost to OU, lost to Bama. You never know. So, you never know if this game could either be really competitive, could be one-sided for Georgia, probably won't be one-sided for Florida, but it could have a lot of playoff potential affecting things on the line, especially for Georgia. So, I think it'll be the world's largest cocktail party for Week 9. Week 10 may be the best week of college football. I think Week 10 has the best games. It has the best matchups. Week 10 is going to be one of those days where you're going to sit down on your couch on Saturday morning. You're going to watch Pat McAfee take off his shirt on game day, and you're not going to move until 11:30 at night. We have Oregon at Ohio State. Great game. We have the Holy War, BYU-Utah. Great game. We have Alabama at LSU, potentially Nick Saban's hardest game this year. Great game. We have Georgia versus Ole Miss, playoff game rematch. Great game. So, I know you're thinking, how are you going to choose? Well, actually, I'm not choosing any of those. I think game day will be in South Bend, Indiana for Miami at Notre Dame. I think Miami probably be undefeated going into this game. They might have one loss. And Notre Dame, if all goes well and it goes as planned, Notre Dame will be undefeated going into this game. So this will be a huge game. Obviously, this was a great game last year. There was crazy catches going on, good defense all around the board. It was a great game last year, so I'm excited to watch this game. Obviously, this week is stacked, so I wish we could kind of disperse these games almost, but I actually don't wish that because I'm excited to sit on my couch and watch every single one of these games. So this is going to be a great day of college football. Week 10 is great, but I do think game day will be in South Bend. So Week 11, there are some good games going on. We have Texas at LSU. Another good game for LSU and Lane Kiffin coming off Bama being in Baton Rouge. They're going, again, Texas coming to Baton Rouge back-to-back weeks. Not great for them. We have USC at Indiana, which could have playoff hopes on the line. And I'm going to go with game day being in Eugene, Oregon for Michigan at Oregon. I think Michigan could be undefeated going into this game. I think they might have one loss, but that's neither here nor there. One loss going into Oregon, an undefeated team. I think this will be a huge game. If Michigan could somehow pull off a win against Oregon, that would be insanely huge for them and for momentum going into rivalry week. But, yeah, I think Michigan at Oregon for Week 11. Week 12, these games are kind of close to the last time they were there, but I think they're going to have to go back to South Bend. I think they'll have to do SMU at Notre Dame. I think you heard me earlier. I think SMU is going to be insanely good this year. I think they'll probably be one-loss team, maybe. I think they're going to be great. So I'm high on SMU. If Notre Dame can pull off one against Miami, this would be an undefeated Notre Dame team going into Week 12. So I think that is what I would pick for Week 12. But because I make up the rules for this show and I make up the rules for this video, I'm going to pick 2 options for week 12. So that's option 1. Option 2 is going into Norman, Oklahoma to watch the Aggies take on the Sooners. I think this could be a great game. Texas A&M, obviously last season, very, very good season. Now, were they a very, very good team? That's up in the air still, and we'll never know. But they did have a good season going into the playoffs. I'm not sure if they can do that again because of how easy their schedule was last year. But I think OU has potential to be undefeated going into this game. And if they are, and A&M's coming in with maybe 1 or 2 losses, I think it'd be hard to keep it out of Norman. But South Bend and SMU, I think that's also good. I just don't know if they'll go back to Notre Dame in a 2 or 3 week span. So I'm throwing up 2 options, SMU at Notre Dame or A&M at OU. Take your pick. Maybe I'm wrong on both. You can take a random team. I don't care. Okay, week 13. Last week is the regular season. We've been going through this. Now, this is kind of the same thing with OU and A&M. I don't know if they'll want to go back to Notre Dame, so I did pick A&M at OU just as a backup. This week might need a backup too, but it's rivalry week, so there's a million games that you could want to go to. You go to the Iron Bowl, even if Auburn's not good, you never know what's going to happen. But I am going to have to go with going into Columbus, Ohio for the game. I think that Michigan taking on the Buckeyes in Ohio, like at Ohio State's home field, I think it's going to be hard, but I do think they have a chance. I think Michigan's going to be good. If you watch my last video, I'm pretty high on Michigan this year. I'm pretty high on their hire at head coach. So we'll see. I think Kyle Whittingham's the perfect hire for Michigan. I think if he can really turn this team around, he can really use Bryce Underwood in ways he wasn't able to be used last season. I think they could be a great team. So I think the game could be great. I don't know if they're going to want to go back with Michigan again after in week 11 I had Michigan at Oregon. So I don't know, but we'll see. Yeah, that's all I got. That's the full week-to-week breakdown on where I think College Game Day will be. So let me know. Do you think I'm wrong about any? Do you think some teams will be bad and maybe these teams won't even be and they won't even have a chance to be on game day? Maybe the team will be so bad. Last year I picked a game for game day, and I think I picked Clemson in like week 12. Obviously, we all know how Clemson ended up last year. Went 4-4 in conference play. So you never know what's going to happen, but these are my predictions. We'll check back and maybe we'll check back each week, see how wrong I was. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Those are my ACC predictions. If you didn't hear them, I have SMU finishing first, maybe tied with Miami, but I think it'll be the 1-2 SMU Miami. So yeah, that's how we're looking. ACC, I'm super excited to watch SMU this year. I'm excited for the SMU Notre Dame game, honestly. And yeah, we'll see how my game day predictions end up. So if you have any questions you want me to talk about, any hot takes you want me to go over, any segments you want me to start doing, DM me. My handle, Instagram, TikTok, X, DM me, message me, send me something you want me to talk about. Tell me that I had a bad take. Just let me know. Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next Tuesday. Goodbye.